Introduce a new project I've been developing that is a story generator based on house schematics and objects. So I'll describe the project a bit. This is, again, a prototype. There is a lot of issues in terms of design. The writing is just sort of placeholder writing, so there's still work to be done. But I'm excited to have a basic functioning prototype, which is super good. And then I'll kind of tell you a little bit about why I made it and some of the history behind it. So we'll start off with some of the features. So you can generate a new plan. That's kind of infinite and random. It has certain variables. You can define how many bedrooms and closets and kitchens and living rooms, all these kind of things. And obviously you can change, I imagine, the kind of building it is. The footprint is a rectangle. I think future versions, it might sort of change that. And the look and feel of it is like an architectural diagram. There are issues here and there. You can see that sometimes the door structures don't quite make sense. There are necessarily, I'm not sure how you get through all the rooms through the doors, so that's some things to develop. So you generate new schematics. And then once you have a layout, a house design, floor plan that you like, you'll have a variety of objects. And so the idea is that these are stories that are kind of based on the combination of the interaction of the object and the room. So, for example, if you have a book, you can drag that book, and let's say we put it in bedroom 2. Thinks about it, processes it, and then generates a story. And that story is generated from a variety of variables that are in the code, but basically thinking about this interaction of a book and then bedroom 2. And I could take the book and drag it into the bathroom, and it generates a different kind of story. Again, this is all placeholder text, so you can read it. Parts of it are okay, but it's not the finished product. And so the idea is basically, if you think about this notion of how we interact in the spaces that we live and the ways our stories are connected to the objects around us. And a book, as an example, is a good one because you can think about a book in a bathroom has a very different kind of context, a different kind of resonance than a book in a garage, or a book in a kitchen, or a book in the laundry. We all have very different relationships with these objects, and I like how they sort of are starting points for stories. So obviously, similarly, you can do cell phones, and that would generate a story from a bedroom, and a cell phone lost in the closet might have a different kind of story, and that kind of thing. One of the issues with these kind of projects is because you have a lot of variables. I mean, here you might have a dozen rooms and 4 objects. It does get sort of exponentially more complex. The more objects you have, or the more rooms you have, it's just more you have to write. Or at least it's more you have to have generated by possibly a combination of phrases and whatnot. In some ways, I think about this kind of work related to Nick Montfort, for example, who's really good, I think, at creating code that can generate new kinds of stories based on a variety of different grammatical rules and things. So I'll probably explore that a bit later. Again, the design elements, I think, need a little bit of work. Might have things like maybe some images inside this, might have different styles of pop-ups, even maybe different shapes of rooms and spaces. In terms of how this idea came across, it actually came across because when Alinta and I were visiting Australia recently, you have to do a lot of driving in Australia. And I'm actually fond of long drives. But often, if you're driving at night, you have to keep yourself entertained. And to do that, often we play the game 20 questions. And one of the common sort of series of questions you might ask is, do you find the object? So 20 questions is when you ask 20 questions, yes or no questions, to try to discover what is the object or the thing or the creature that another person is thinking of. And often you say, is it found commonly in the home? And then you start going through the different rooms and you say, is it found in the garage? Is it found in the kitchen? And that helps you narrow down what the object might be, because we associate objects with rooms. Because buildings usually have different functions for the different rooms, which in turn relates to the narratives or the stories that happen within those rooms. Um, and so it kind of was built from that. And I thought, oh, well, that's kind of a really lovely concept. How could I build an interface for it? Technically, how is this built? This is JavaScript. JavaScript, HTML, and CSS. It is responsive, but not perfect. You could view it on a phone, but if you did, it might be a little bit difficult to read just for text sizes and things like that. So it's more designed for probably a PC or at least a relatively larger screen. And yes, the coding was assisted by an AI engine. And it was, like a lot of AI engines, the coding help was significant, but also in some ways problematic. But honestly, I probably couldn't have done it without it. So it's a wonderful tool to utilize to help you develop an interface, as long as you're willing to sort of work around some of the issues and design stuff ups that sort of continuously happen. But certainly, I owe the artificial engine some credit for doing that. I wonder if it did that. No. Okay. Sorry. Anyway, so this is my Random House Schematic Generator Story Edition, which again was something the AI kind of shoved in there. And I'll develop it further, but just wanted to share it. All right. See ya.